The diner bell jingled as Michael stepped inside, pushing his daughter's wheelchair with one hand and holding her backpack with the other. To the world, Michael looked like an ordinary tired father, but behind his sharp suit and weary eyes was a millionaire CEO, a man who could buy almost anything except peace in his heart. His daughter, Emily, only 8 years old, had been born with a disability that made eating difficult. Her tiny hands trembled whenever she tried to lift a spoon, and her father's heart broke every time he saw her struggle. Michael sat her at the corner booth away from the noise. He ordered their food quietly, trying to ignore the stares that sometimes followed them. Most people only saw the wheelchair. When the plates arrived, Emily smiled bravely, picking up her spoon. But soon peas rolled onto the table, soup dripped down her chin, and frustration clouded her little face. Michael reached to help, but his phone buzzed, a reminder of a late night meeting he'd already postponed twice. His head dropped in shame. Just then, Sarah, the waitress, returned to check on them. She noticed Emily's struggle, and without hesitation, she knelt down. "Hey, sweetheart," she whispered with a warm smile. "Want me to help?" Emily's eyes lit up as she nodded. Sarah gently took the spoon, scooping food carefully and feeding her as though it was the most natural thing in the world. Michael froze, his chest tightened, his throat burned. Here was a stranger showing his daughter more tenderness in 5 minutes than he had allowed himself to show in months. For the first time in a long while, Michael felt tears threaten to fall. Sarah didn't just feed Emily, she made her giggle. She played airplane with the spoon, exaggerated silly faces, and wiped Emily's mouth with a napkin like she was the most precious princess in the world. Emily's laughter rang through the diner, drawing glances from other customers. But this time they weren't looks of pity. They were smiles softening at the sight of a waitress kneeling beside a little girl. Michael watched in silence, his heart aching. Money had built him an empire, but it couldn't buy this moment, this simple, selfless kindness. He had hired nurses, therapists, and even nannies, but none had touched Emily's spirit the way Sarah had in a matter of minutes. When Emily finished eating, she whispered to Sarah, "You're really nice, like an angel." Sarah chuckled softly, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "And you're the bravest princess I've ever met." Michael blinked, caught off guard. No one ever spoke to his daughter like that. Most saw her as fragile, broken, or a burden, but Sarah saw her as a little girl worthy of joy. When Sarah stood up to clear the table, Michael caught her arm gently. Why did you do that?" His voice cracked against his will. Sarah tilted her head, her smile faint but kind, "Because kindness doesn't cost anything, and sometimes the smallest things make the biggest difference." Michael sat back speechless. All his wealth, all his power, none of it could match the richness of her words. As the diner emptied for the night, Michael lingered. Emily dozed in her wheelchair, clutching a stuffed bear. Sarah wiped tables, humming softly to herself. When she finally returned with the check, Michael asked quietly, "Do you have children?" She shook her head, her eyes softening. "No, but I had a younger brother. He had special needs. I helped take care of him until—" Her voice trailed off, and for a moment, sadness flickered across her face. "He passed away a few years ago." Michael's chest tightened. She hadn't just been kind. She understood. Sarah continued, her voice steadier. "We didn't have much growing up. My mom worked 3 jobs. I picked up shifts as soon as I was old enough. Life was hard, but my brother taught me something." She paused, her eyes glistening. "Sometimes love is the only thing you can give, even when you have nothing else." Michael swallowed hard. Those words hit deeper than she knew. His fortune had grown larger every year, but his heart had grown emptier. He realized then how far he had drifted from the simple power of love. Sarah tucked the bill beside him with a smile, as if she hadn't just revealed something profound. "Good night, Mr. Michael," he said quickly, standing. His voice was firm, but his eyes were full of gratitude. "Thank you for tonight, for everything." Sarah nodded as though kindness needed no thanks, but Michael couldn't shake the feeling that she had just changed something inside him. That night, Michael lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Emily's laughter echoed in his mind. Sarah's words, "Sometimes love is the only thing you can give," played on repeat. For years, he had drowned himself in work, thinking money would secure Emily's future. But what about her present? What about the warmth, the joy, the love she deserved every single day? The next morning, Michael drove Emily back to the diner. Sarah looked surprised as they walked in. "Back so soon?" she teased. Michael asked her to sit. She hesitated, wiping her hands on her apron, then slid into the booth across from him. Sarah. He began, his voice steady but sincere. I owe you more than I can say. Last night you gave my daughter something I couldn't. Comfort, laughter, dignity. I haven't seen her that happy in months. Sarah blushed, shaking her head. I just did what anyone would have. No. Michael interrupted gently. Not everyone would. That's the difference. He leaned forward. I want to offer you something, a job, not here, not as a waitress. I want you to be Emily's caregiver, full-time, with a salary that gives you freedom, stability, everything you deserve. Sarah's mouth fell open. I can't accept that. You're not just anything. Michael said firmly, you have a gift, and my daughter needs someone like you. Tears filled Sarah's eyes. It wasn't the money that moved her. It was being seen, truly seen, for the first time in years. Weeks turned into months. Sarah became a constant in Emily's life. Not just a caregiver, but a friend, a mentor, a source of joy. She taught Emily crafts, baked cookies with her, and told her bedtime stories with voices so funny that Michael would laugh from the hallway. Emily grew stronger, braver, and happier with every passing day. Michael, too, changed. He found himself putting away his phone more often, leaving work earlier, and sitting at the dinner table with his daughter. He realized that while success had built his world, it was love that gave it meaning. One evening, as the sun set outside their home, Michael stood at the doorway, watching Sarah and Emily giggle on the living room floor, building a tower of blocks. Emily's laughter rang through the house like music. For the first time in years, Michael felt his heart lighten. He whispered to himself, kindness doesn't just change a moment, it changes lives. Emily looked up, her eyes sparkling. Daddy, Sarah says I can do anything. Do you think I can? Michael knelt beside her, pulling her into his arms. Yes, sweetheart, you can do anything because you're loved. And in that moment, Michael realized that wealth wasn't measured in bank accounts or properties. It was measured in love given, in kindness shared, and in hearts healed. A waitress's compassion had not only fed a little girl's hunger, it had nourished a family's soul. In the end, this story isn't just about a millionaire, a little girl, or a waitress in a diner. It's about how a single act of kindness can ripple through lives, changing them forever. Michael had all the wealth in the world, but it took Sarah's compassion to remind him of the one treasure he had been overlooking: love. Emily didn't need riches or luxury. She needed laughter, dignity, and someone who believed in her. Sarah gave without expecting anything in return, and in doing so, she received more than she ever dreamed of: purpose, family, and the chance to heal hearts beyond her own. This story teaches us that kindness doesn't cost a thing, yet it holds the power to create miracles. You never know how much your smallest act of love might mean to someone else, because at the end of the day, true wealth isn't measured by money. It's measured by the lives we touch and the love we give.